I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the arts, and kind of just explain a little bit the playbook of cancellation and how it plays out in the arts. And I think that's actually going to be familiar to a lot of people across any sector. But it has there are some things that are kind of specific around the arts, and also I'm really interested why the arts themselves become really targeted in these kind of authoritarian debates. So there's a well-known phrase that politics is downstream of culture. Well, culture is actually downstream of the arts. And it's in the arts where some of our so-called culture wars are being fought between a set of activists who believe they hold the correct views and a set of more liberal and tolerant artists and art leaders who wants to see impartiality, balance, and freedom being the priority and prerequisite to making good art. We at Freedom in the Arts are asking that let the art be judged on its value intrinsically as a work of art, not on its virtue signalling or ideological purity. So right now, there are award-winning playwrights who cannot get their plays on stage, talented choreographers who cannot get their work seen by audiences, and great writers who cannot be published. The level and ferocity of those who have been targeted and cancelled in the UK arts is striking in that it covers all art forms: art, music, theatre, dance, literature, poetry, ceramics, to name but a few, for its diversity, also of its artists that are being cancelled for their personal beliefs and also the content of their work. So in October last year, Denise Farmy and I set up an organisation called Freedom in the Arts. It's to at least draw attention to the intolerant atmosphere in the arts and to signal a beginning of the organised opposition to this. We've got three aims: to protect artists and stop the bullying in the arts, to articulate the importance of freedom of expression, and to help organise and lobby politicians to navigate this complex area. And having worked with over 30 artists who've been attacked, cancelled, or quietly ghosted inside their own profession by the arts world themselves, I've started to see that there's a playbook, there's a pattern. And what's really interesting is the public don't like this at all. The public hate it. They find it really distasteful. But the arts world, let me assure you, is doubling down on this. So the basic playbook has the kind of scene setting. So that's kind of like where a lot of organizations went through training. Uh, there was a lot of kind of what one would call sort of struggle sessions, um, to a lot of and this is kind of funded by the Arts Council. So there's these things called IPSOs, investment support organisations that you have to sort of subscribe to and then sort of sit through this kind of like guilt-ridden kind of. It can be around race, it can be around gender ideology, but there's a whole range of subjects. There's like a set of kind of subject matters of which you must hold these kind of specific beliefs. Climate change is one, Brexit was a huge one. And most recently, we have the Palestine-Israel conflict is also something that now is like really being used to target any artist that even questions these things. So the ground is set with this sort of scene setting. Then there's an incident. So for my example, it was speaking in my own home around my beliefs of women's rights. But I've had people cancelled for using the correct title of a work of art. I've had someone had a disciplinary for rolling their eyes. I kid you not. Um, I've had someone who's suspended for giving feedback to a policy. They asked for feedback on a specific policy. They gave feedback. It was leaked. This person is now suspended. Their entire career is on the kind of on the rocks. Somebody was suspended for saying that they believed in Martin Luther King's view of racism. I have somebody who had to give a public apology for liking a tweet by Julie Bindel. I think they realised that the apology was not effective, actually. And then there's something called cancellation adjacent syndrome. So being spotted with someone who's been cancelled. I've been told that I can't be seen with someone at a conference because I may lead to their cancellation. You can't. I've had someone say that they had to go for a secret coffee because they couldn't be seen with an academic who is so-called cancelled. I also have an artist who was fired from their film because the makeup artist said they felt unsafe from a tweet that they wrote 2.5 years ago, which has been vindicated by the cast review. So then, once you have the accusations, and the accusations are often very vexatious, they're very sort of like emotional, very accusatory. Then you have the investigative process. I went through 3 months. I know somebody that went through 2 years of investigative processes. Um, you have the forced hostage apology, and that gets you nowhere. No one will accept it, and they want more and more. So I always advise people to not apologise. Lots of people in the arts want to try and show their DEI knowledge, like that most people in the arts are kind of centre and centre left. So there'll often be a kind of like, hang on, I've got black wife, or I've got these, there's a kind of like offering of anything to sort of throw at the activists, say, no, 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 but I'm almost on your side. This doesn't work either, and it doesn't matter. I think you've got to go through it and you've got to defend yourself. You've got to be really strong. You've got to be the adult in the room. Unfortunately, the you. Unfortunately, though, if you're in a large organisation that has an HR department, the HR department will also be captured. It's there to defend the organisation it serves. And there's a new sort of thing that's come through with the Arts Council called reputational risk. And so what's the most risky thing in the arts? The artists and their work. So, what's the thing that you need to do to cut reputational risk? Stop the art. So there's the term cry bully was kind of invented for this, that whatever you do, whatever you say, the accusations will grow and grow and grow. It's long, it's laborious, it's late night emails, there's a lack of communication, and there's no contemplation that an artist is their work, that when you attack them and their work, you're attacking everything about that person. And I have to say, sadly, suicidal ideation is very, very common when artists get attacked like this. And I'm kind of there to say, you're not gone mad. This is completely normal. You're being attacked. Everything, your identity, well, I hate that word. Everything about you is being attacked. Your work, your beliefs, your mind, the way that you express yourself. You are trapped. You're trapped because you're actually defending something that in their eyes is undefendable. So there's a huge toll on artists. It's really traumatic. Um, and I think, yeah, there have actually been suicides of artists that have been through this process. Richard Blitzkov in Canada, and on a different case, a choreographer in the UK also. So how do you get out of it? There's limited choices. So you shut up and hope it goes away, but it never goes away. It will follow you. And it will follow you publicly, because the problem is with artists is you may make your work in privacy, and you may have your own private needs to make your work. Whatever your art form, it always has to reach a public. So there's always that point where you interface with the public, which is where the trans activist will, or whoever the activist will find you. um, you can sort of try and stay in the system and shut up. But I think actually that starts to kind of turn artists mad, like really mad. um, I think you do have to at some point go public. And then basically once you've gone public, lots of people in the art world would like you to then shut up again. But you have to go public like J.K. Rowling and keep going public and keep going and keep going. So I'm really trying to sort of like support artists in doing that. Like, this is our role. This is our job to do this. The problem we have in the arts, though, is that we have incredibly insecure livelihoods. Um, we don't have any particular rights, employment rights. One situation I had was a theatre booked my work, very supportive. inside their own marketing department, there was an activist who would not stop making very, very strong, complaints about the fact that they'd programmed me. Now, of course, that person who works in marketing, they're not an artist, they haven't trained, they haven't danced for 30 years like I have, but they have more employment rights than I do. It's much easier to get rid of the artists and just say, we're rescinding your contract. What do? I don't want to look like I'm being really difficult. I can't take them to an employment tribunal. But that person in marketing has all those rights. So they will side with those people. So one of the questions we've got is how do we reach the audience? How do we do this when there are so many gatekeepers who are both either true believers or are so scared of their true believers in their organisations? I don't think we're at that stage yet where we have the new networks or the new theatres, the new venues. It's not there. Although I do really think there's probably an entrepreneurial impresario out there that might see there's a real market for this. So what's needed? Well, in Freedom in the Arts, Denise and I both speak Arts Council. We speak the language, and we put out a manifesto just before the election, some really simple aims to protect artistic freedom, to support arts organisations, to protect artistic freedom of expression, and to end the culture of bullying. We want artistic excellence to be the guiding principle in the arts. We want to repeal the mechanisms that center identity over talent and excellence. And we want to see an arts funding system that centres the health of the sector over instrumentalism. Now, we sort of put this out, kind of hoping that we'd have some impact. Very interestingly, last week, both Darren Henley, who's the Chief Executive of the Arts Council, and Nick Sirota, the Chair of the Arts Council, wrote articles. Darren Henley wrote around centering excellence in the arts. And Nick Sirota wrote his 5-point plan to the future of the arts, of which the 5th point was a commitment to freedom of expression. So we do really feel like we're making an impact in the sector. They're not going to reference us properly, but we don't mind. We've got to fight the arts from inside the arts. And I think that's one of the big problems when it becomes polarized politically. So you cannot make art to finish in a culture of fear. And all the qualities that make the arts such a wonderful place to work, the creativity, the playfulness, the humour, has been destroyed. Not to mention the fact that by committing a life to the arts, one is committing to opening your mind to the depths and heights of humanity. As an artist, you're there not to know categorically if you are right or wrong. In fact, the whole of creativity is one of that dances between doubt and discovery. The best artists know this, and that can be a very uncomfortable place to be. There is no place for dogma in the arts. There is no place for ideological certainty. And if we stray into dogma, we're entering into propaganda. Thank you.